But is it enough?
It certainly is enough to cover our expenses and to have some on top of that. So we are making some profit off of the exchange. That's mainly because we don't have to maintain very much pipe in order to deliver it to them. We don't charge them the entire transportation cost because it's only going through a certain number of pipes, and it's very much convenient for us to sell it to them. They generally take at night, and it just it works out very well for us as an additional income that we wouldn't have if we raise it very much.
And what is the total volume of water that we're talking about per day?
Up to about 500,000 gallons a day.
And they can't produce any more than 100,000 more.
As best I can tell, we've discussed it with them, and they didn't say, yeah, we can give you 600,000, but we can't give you 7. I mean, they just indicated that there was some amount more that Olathe could supply, but not all of it. So I mean, it might be 250,000. I don't know for sure. It's just some more, but certainly not all of 500,000.
But when you asked them if we could buy water from them, they said we only have 100,000 more to give.
They didn't say 100,000.
Oh,
they just said they could give us some more, but they couldn't give us another 500,000.
Okay.
We've got a motion on the floor.
We do, and do we need to add into it if we were adjusting the contract? We left that out.
The contract as amended?
The percent? Yes.
Yes.
Do I need to restate for clarification purposes?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I need to find that sheet of paper.
It's true.
You're authorizing this. Yes,
I move that we authorize the city administrator to execute an agreement with New Century Air Center for the sale of bulk water as amended.
Second.
Yeah.
Motion Freeman, second Harrison. We authorize the city administrator to execute an agreement with New Century Air Center for sale of bulk water as amended. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. New business item number 6. Consider authorizing the city administrator to appoint Gerald C. Columber as police chief. Mary?
Thank you. I'm pleased to present this item to you on behalf of Cheryl Harrison Lee. I wanted to give you, as you noted in your CAF, some background of our recruitment process for the chief of police position for the city of Gardner. This has taken us quite a bit of time. We've done a lot of due diligence. We've spent a lot of time carefully reviewing and our process, selecting a process, and then moving forward. As you'll note in our recruitment process, we did send advertisements out for resumes. We used 7 different avenues to do that. Various newspapers, the League of Kansas Municipalities, 4 different police organizations, 2 of those were nationwide, to get a pool of applicants for this position. We did go out and work with ICMA to find out the recommended processes for a police chief recruitment. We had not done that. It was some time, a lot of cities never do that. So we went out to look for recommended practices. Those are the practices of the recruitment that we followed during this process. We also surveyed our police department, and all of our officers were asked a series of questions, and we took those into consideration as to what was being looked for leadership in that department. An outside assessment of the department was completed. We did receive 60 resumes, all qualified applicants. A selection committee was determined, and we worked with that committee throughout. Resumes were thoroughly vetted by qualifications, and we came down out of those 60 to 12 initial candidates that we sent out surveys, questionnaires to, and asked for information back to learn about their vision, their management style, and various other components of what a police chief would do. And we reviewed those. The selection committee received those, and we reviewed those. They spent a great deal of time looking at those questionnaires. The candidate pool was then narrowed down to 5. And we took those 5 candidates in, and we did very formal interviews. They were also given time to do a scenario and come back into the council chambers and stand at this podium and present their outline and their scenario to us. From that, 2 candidates were selected. Second interviews were conducted by our city administrator, and then we utilized the Johnson County Sheriff's Department to do thorough background investigations from 2 of their senior staff who went out and thoroughly looked at both of those 2 candidates. And I can share a little bit more. The interview team consisted of City Administrator Cheryl Harrison Lee, city staff, leading law enforcement professionals from the Kansas City metro area. It also consisted of both a formal interview and a second interview. Candidates were given 1 hour to prepare a presentation, and they were required to present that in the council chambers. From the interview pool, 2 candidates moved on through the process. I am pleased that out of a pool of exceptional candidates, the selection process has successfully concluded with the recommendation of Gerald Columber. Gerald has 30 years of law enforcement experience working at both the City of Lenexa and the City of Edwardsville. He's a graduate of the FBI Central States Law Enforcement Executive Development Program and the Rural Executive Management Institute. He holds a Master's of Liberal Arts degree and a Bachelor of Art. He also serves as a professor at the Baker School of Professional Graduate Studies in Overland Park, where he teaches social science courses on subjects such as hate groups, terrorism, organized crime, illegal drug trade, workplace, and school violence. At this point, staff's recommendation is to authorize the city administrator to appoint Jerry C. Columber as police chief.
At this point, unless we need a point of clarification as opposed to discussion, I'd like to open the floor for public comments. Does anybody need clarification?
I have a number of questions, so.
Well, I know that's not discussion. I'm not talking about discussion. I'm talking about clarification of something that she just presented.
Actually, I had some questions about that.
Okay, Mary.
My first question is, who did the outside assessment of the department?
The Johnson County Sheriff's Department.
And you never said who the leading law enforcement professionals were?
Sure. Johnson County Sheriff Frank Denning and Chief of Police, the City of Lenexa retired Chief Ellen Hansen.
So there were 2 panelists.
Yeah.
And one of them did the assessment and then also served on the panel?
The person who did the assessment was one of his senior staff, not Sheriff Denning.
But he worked for Sheriff Denning?
Sure, yes.
Does the ICMA recommended process actually have a section that talks about a panel of outside experts?
It does. And Cheryl, I don't know if you want to expound on that, but yes, it does.
For police chiefs or for city administrators?
For police chiefs. This was directly related. This process that we went through is actually an ICMA recommended process for selection and recruitment of a police chief.
But when you said that the leading law enforcement professionals were from the Kansas City metro area, they're really from Johnson County. There weren't any outside of those 2.
Okay, I apologize. I consider Johnson County as part of the Kansas City metro.
Well, I do too, but it's a small part of it, obviously. Okay. Did we utilize a panel to recruit our community development director?
Yes, we did.
A panel of outsiders?
No, we did not.
How about for I believe we're going to be making offers on a new public works director, is that correct?
We haven't completed that process.
Did we use a panel for that?
Yes, but we haven't. We've only done the first round of interviews. We haven't completed that process.
Can you give me an idea of what the timeline was for the 5 interviews? Was that about what time are we talking about that?
I'm
That,
sorry.
was that, when was the election was April